This is Bob Capetta from the College of the Florida Keys, and this lesson is on solving for variables in formulas. Our first question will be Q equals 5x plus 7y, and our goal here is to solve for x. So we want to get the x by itself. Currently, x is being multiplied by 5, and 7y is being added to it. We always go in reverse order of operations. So we're going to get rid of the addition first, adding negative 7y to both sides. So now I have q minus 7y equals 5x plus 0. I have q minus 7y equals 5x. And my goal is to solve for x. Currently, x is being multiplied by 5. I have to undo that, so I will divide both sides by 5. So on the right-hand side, I have 5 over 5, or 1x. On the left-hand side, I have q minus 7y over 5. I prefer to write the x on the left, so for my final answer, I will write x equals q minus 7y over 5. So you'll notice there were 3 letters, 3 variables in that equation. I could have more. So for our next example, let's look at P equals AB plus CD, and this time I'm going to say solve for C. So D is multiplying C, AB is adding. We're going to get rid of the addition first. So I'm going to subtract AB from both sides. Subtract AB here, subtract AB here, or add negative AB, if you want to think of it that way. On the left-hand side, I have P minus AB. On the right-hand side, AB plus negative AB is 0. 0 plus CD is CD. And I want to solve for C. I want to get C by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by what's multiplying C, which is D. And then D over D is 1 over 1. So we get P minus AB over D equals C. And you could write it with C on the left, but you don't have to. I don't want you to think that that's required. So let's do a couple more of these, get a feel for how they work. Again, solving for variables in equations. Here's a formula for the area of a trapezoid. Area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the height. And now I have 2 bases. Let's call one of them little a. Let's call one of them little b. And my goal here is going to be to solve for little a. So in this situation, I have that fraction to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by the denominator, both sides by 2. Multiply the left side by 2, multiply the right side by 2. So I get 2a equals 2 times 1/2 h times a plus b. On the left side, 2 times a is 2a. On the right side, 2 times 1/2 is 1 times h times a plus b. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute h times a plus h times b. Remember, we want to solve for a. So I get 2a is h little a plus h little b, and we want to solve for little a. HB is being added. Let's subtract HB from both sides. Subtract HB here. Subtract HB there. Now what do I have? I have 2a minus HB equals HA, and I want to solve for little a, so I'll divide both sides by h. H over h, 1 over 1. So I get 2a minus HB over h equals a. So when there's fractions involved, this gets a little more challenging to work with. So let's do another one with the fraction and see if we can identify how that is going to be solved. So let's take a look at Z equals 2/7 of P minus T. And this time we want to solve for P. So I'm going to give the same suggestion as the last problem, namely the denominator is 7. I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. Multiply 7 on the left, multiply 7 on the right. So I get 7Z equals 7 times 2/7 of P minus T. Notice this is 7 over 1. Left-hand side is 7Z. Right-hand side, 7 over 7 is the same as 1 over 1. So that just leaves me with 2 times P minus T. I like to make minuses plus negative. That's my preferred strategy. So I'll make this plus negative T and then distribute. So I get 7Z equals 2P plus 2 times negative T is negative 2T. I want to solve for P, so I will add 2T to both sides. Add 2T to this side. Add 2T to that side. So I get 7Z plus 2T equals 2P. And we want to solve for P, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. Divide this side by 2. And divide this side by 2. P over P, 2 over 2 is 1 over 1. So the right-hand side is just P. And the answer is P equals 7Z plus 2T over 2. You may be tempted to divide this out, but recognize there's a plus sign here, so these are terms. You'd have to factor a 2 out of both of these terms before you could cancel. So that indeed does not divide out in that example. All right, let's do another one in that world. Well, maybe a few more letters this time. Let's say W equals 3/5 A times X plus Y, and our goal here is going to be to solve for Y. So our process is going to be the same. We're going to multiply both sides by the denominator of 5, multiply the left side by 5, multiply the right side by 5. So I get 5W equals 5 times 3/5 times A times X plus Y. Left-hand side is just 5W. Right-hand side, again, that's 5 over 1 times 3 over 5. 5 over 5 is 1 over 1. So that's 3 times 1 over 1 times 1. That's just 3A times X plus Y. We want to solve for Y. My next move is going to be to distribute 3AX plus 3AY. So I get 5W equals 3AX plus 3AY. Get the Y by itself. I will do that by subtracting 3AX from both sides. Subtract 3AX here. Subtract 3AX there. 5W minus 3AX on the left side. 3AX minus 3AX is 0 on the right side, plus 3AY. Plus 3AY. And our goal here is to solve for Y. We want to get Y by itself, so we'll divide both sides by 3A. Three over 3 is 1 over 1. A over A is 1 over 1, so the right side is Y. You may be tempted on the left side to divide these out. Again, do not. There's a minus sign there that makes those terms. You would need to have a 3A in both of these pieces to be able to divide it out, and you do not have that. So our final answer will be 5w minus 3ax over 3a is going to equal y. All right, let's move on to another sort of question. If I have a situation like this, g equals 2z plus bz, make sure we can see it, g equals 2z plus bz, and our goal is to solve for z. I have z in two places. If that happens, I need to factor it out. We're going to extract the z. 2z divided by z is 2 plus bz divided by z is b. So I've kind of done the opposite thing of factoring, or excuse me, of multiplying. 2 times z is 2z, b times z is bz. And I want to solve for z. Now what's happening? 2 plus b is multiplying z. So to undo multiplication, I'm going to have to divide. So let me go ahead and do that. Divide both sides by 2 plus b. 2 plus b on this side. 2 plus b on 2 plus b over 2 plus b is 1 over 1. So on the right side, I just have z. On the left side, I have g over 2 plus b. And let me do one more like that. We'll take a look at this formula from economics. And the amount of money you have is principal plus interest. So the amount of money you have, A, is P plus PRT. And our goal here is to solve for P. So we're going to factor out a P here. So I've got a P in this slot. I've got a P in that slot. When I divide it out, what do I get? P divided by P is 1. PRT divided by P is RT. So I get A equals P times 1 plus RT. We want to solve for P, so I will divide both sides by what's multiplying P. Divide both sides by 1 plus RT. Divide both sides by 1 plus RT. 1 plus RT divided by 1 plus RT divides out. I have A over 1 plus RT equals P. And that will conclude this lesson.